Somebody needs to be.
Exactly. Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us on our Zoom webinar, as well as joining us in the lifestyle group. I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You've really helped me like leaps and bounds, like evolutionary helped me in the last 3 months. It's been amazing.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
So everyone, I'm so honored to have Joanne Bracken with us tonight. And I met Joanne through another beautiful soul sister, Tina Marinucci Merriman. Thank you, Tina, for bringing Joanne into my life. My life is so much better because of that. Thank you.
You're so sweet. What do I have to do to top this?
Oh, you just connect to those angels and take good care of all of us.
I will do my utmost to do that for sure.
Thank you, Joanne. So Joanne is, now I might get all of your exactly what you do, but would you like to tell us what you do? So because it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the healing practitioner field for well over 30 years. And now my work has developed so that I'm really doing my passion, all of these pieces of things that I've learned over many years of taking different healing courses and studying and learning how to channel, studying past life therapy and regression, hypnotherapy. I brought all of these pieces together, and my passion now really is in doing the channeling work I bring through higher intelligence. You might call them angels. I call them also the Christed ones. I work with the archangels. I'm working with very high frequencies with what I do. And I have kind of two focuses. So people come to me for two things as a rule. Sometimes people just want a channeling to get some higher guidance. But what I'm really focusing on even more now is working on helping people clear their DNA of old patterns. As I said, I'm a registered or certified past life therapist, which I actually studied back in the mid-1980s. And I was doing a lot of past life therapy with people. And I say therapy as opposed to just regression, because we were really going into those other lifetimes to heal them, not just to give people an experience of, what they were or what they did or what that lifetime looked like, but really to go into areas where people had a wound and to work with that and to bring the energy of healing to that lifetime so that person could move forward. So that was another huge piece. I also have a background as a singer. So way back when I was a very tiny person, I did a lot of singing in the 1970s and 80s, and also some in the 90s and a little bit since then. But I was very heavily into doing operetta and musical comedy and singing in church choruses and larger groups. And I kind of gave that up once I got past my Saturn return. Shannon, you'll understand that. I was like, I flipped. And I started getting more and more interested in the healing field. But on down the road, I thought, well, what was all that singing about? That can't have just gone away. There's got to be some purpose for it. So, you ask the question and an answer will come at some point, usually.
Yes.
And the answer that came to me was, there's such a thing as sound healing, which I had not heard of. And now I know it's very ancient. So what I've been doing is channeling angelic and cosmic sounds through my voice. I don't know how they come through. All I know is that spirit uses my vocal cords to bring particular frequencies through for my healing practice. So I will work with people to determine where they have wounding or blocks and get past life information, or maybe dive into what their ancestors were up to and where these patterns and blocks may have come from. So I do a reading for them, and then I also do a clearing using the sound healing. So that is just tremendous fun because we can go really deep. And I honestly get bored just hearing myself talk all the time. So if I can get that out of the way and close my eyes and do this sound, that is so fulfilling and it's so powerful. And Shannon, you've experienced it, so you can say what you've experienced with it because it does help to have another perspective. But that's my main purpose, is about helping to clear people. You know, we're all going through our own particular ascension process, however that shows up for us. And my thing is to help people along the way, get rid of the blocks, bring more light in, which is really what ascension is. It's clearing out the old stuff and bringing in more light, just filling the cells of your body with light. And that's what my work does, particularly using the sound and the light weaving that I do, which is a method of using the hands, moving the hands, and creating mudras sometimes that are speaking a literal language to the client. Even though it's a very unconscious thing for them, it's still a language that's being spoken through higher intelligence. So that's it in a nutshell. And I know you probably have questions you want to ask, and I trust you, Shannon, to kind of lead us the way you think we need to be led, and maybe check if there are any questions in the chat or whatever.
Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing like the background. And I love the weaving of this early life gift of the singing. And
yes.
I know this gift is meant as I walk my spiritual path after your Saturn return, and then waiting for the answer, like trusting it enough to know it will come, it will be answered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was told a long time ago that I would be healing people with my voice. And back then, in the early 80s, I didn't understand what that was. But once I got introduced to the sound healing and heard and experienced what was coming through me, I was like, oh, that is it. That's what they were talking about. And, you know, being an astrologer, I have Jupiter and Taurus in the 3rd house. I mean, could I have gone any other way?
No, you have to use that earth-given gift, like it, and expand it in that way of getting us to communicate with the ancient ones.
Yes.
So beautiful. And that you know that singing and sound healing with your voice and healing with it is an ancient science, or is
absolutely. It's as old as the cosmos itself.
Oh, I love that, because right, the primordial sound of
it's a primordial sound. You know, the very first words in the Bible, right, or in the beginning was the word.
Yes, maybe.
And that is sound. What's word? It's what is spoken. It's, you know, what comes out of our mouth. And so it wasn't light. In the beginning was light. It was in the beginning was sound. And then God said, let there be light. So it was sound first, and then it was light. So.
And then the word was made flesh.
Yes.
From that sound and that light.
You create from that. And that's what I do in our sound circles. Because as you know, I run at least twice a month sound circles over Zoom. And it gives everybody that comes on with us an opportunity to express something they want to create, that they want to make flesh. You know, they want to make concrete in their world in some way. And then I bring forward the sound and the light to help facilitate that. So it's not only powerful, but it's really fun and rewarding. You know, we have a great time.
Oh my gosh, it is the most amazing experience. That's how, so Tina Marinucci Merriman said, oh, Shannon, you got to listen to my live with Joanne. You got to meet Joanne. And you got to join Magdalene's Soul Healing Friends, Joanne's Facebook group. So I invite you all to join her group. It's amazing. And so twice a month, she has the sound healing circles, and she keeps the groups fairly small so everyone can get the experience. And then what's so beautiful about that is you get your own experience, and then you get entrained by everybody else's experience.
Right.
So beautiful. And every night or every time is different.
That's right. It depends on who's in the group
Uh-huh.
and the intentions that they bring. But what's so beautiful is, you know how this works energetically, the right people show up at the same time, and everybody seems to have a similar theme going on. And when I work with each person, everybody in the group gets the benefit of that. So you're coming in as a single, but you're getting your healing, your activation times 5.
Yeah,
So
times 5. It is, and it is the most amazing experience. Like the very first one, I was like, okay, where do I sign up for more? Because it was like blew my mind, and I was like literally elevated out of my chair. And then Joanne said, well, I'm teaching an upcoming workshop on the archetypes. And I'm like, how do I sign up? Like, where's your PayPal link? Because I got to take whatever you're teaching. I want to be there. And I'm so glad I said yes. Like, we're halfway through, maybe a little bit further through your course. I love it. It is
I'm so glad.
so helping me so much.
We love having you because
Thank
you're the
you.
only redhead and you laugh a lot, and I love that.
Thank you. I think that must be from the Irish roots or something.
That is your Irish coming in, and I'm mostly Irish too, so you know.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I did see a question here from Tina saying, Joanne, how did you realize you could hear or communicate with spirit?
With me, it was never a sudden opening. Because I've been in this for so long, it was a very gradual process of learning how to listen to my intuition. You know, I studied tarot, so I used to read tarot cards.
Wow.
And I was in a mediumship group. And just in the process of taking these groups and practicing with other people, I did a lot of practice with my friends in channeling before I actually started doing it professionally. But I think it's just so ingrained in me that it wasn't any big aha moment. It's just always been there. In fact, I came to realize later in my life that when I was a very little girl, I really was very in tune with the fairies and the angels. But because of my childhood, I put a lot of that away and only began to discover that again in my 30s. So I think I was hearing a lot, but didn't know that I was doing that. It was just like they were always here. But
Right.
The more I practiced my channeling, the more I got to identify when it was another being that was speaking to me and through me. You know, I knew it wasn't just me. So it just takes a lot of practice to do that, to be able to recognize when, you know, is this my thought or is that a higher intelligence coming through? And they feel very different. You know, you get to learn how to feel, not only hear, and we all hear in different ways. It's not always a strong auditory thing. You know, it could be that you're more kinesthetic and you feel stuff. You may see stuff. I do kind of a combination of all of that. And maybe that's because of my Jupiter being in Taurus. I don't know. It's in my body.
Yeah, it's really in your body and in your lineage, in your your bones, because that Taurus is earth, and it's like our root chakra and our bloodlines.
Yes.
That come through the history. And that was one of the things that we picked tonight, because Joanne and I have been talking for a while, because we got to get you in. And I was trying to find where's the opening, or when's the energy, or the moon. So I said, okay, ask the moon, guide us, right? And so tonight she's in a waning moon. So she's losing light. So we're getting more into our psychic abilities. We're getting pushed in to our internal world. So Joanne comes at the perfect time during a Cancer moon, which is about your family, your childhood,
Yes.
your lineage, your ancestral memories, what makes you you. Mm-hmm. And then we've got a third layer, because tomorrow the veil's thin for All Hallows Eve.
That's right.
So the timing of the ancestors. So I'm like, Joanne, I hope you're free, because this is
Perfect.
a perfect night. So thank you for saying yes. So one of the my first experience in Joanne's Magdalene Soul Healing Friends group, and that her business is called Magdalene Soul Healing, which I would love to ask you before we now, if it's okay, why did you name your business that?
Well, I started to get, Mary Magdalene is really big now.
Yes.
She's been coming onto the scene for the last, decade maybe, or longer. And I was raised Catholic. I'll just put it out there and admit I was raised Catholic. And I'm no longer practicing. However, I have that background, and it's precious to me because that did make me who I am. That was a big piece of it.
Yeah.
But Mary Magdalene started making her presence known to me very subtly. So probably about 8 years ago, I kept hearing, I was trying to come up with, trying to call yourself something when you do so many different things can be really challenging, especially when you want to tag on your business card that's only so big.
Yeah,
I was having a problem with how to do this. So I kept tuning in and asking Spirit, help me come up with something. And I kept hearing over and over, voice of the Magdalene. And I thought, I like that. I really like that, voice of the Magdalene. So I immediately went online to check it out and see if anybody else was using it. And sure enough, I went to somebody else's website, who now is a very dear friend of mine, Patricia Cairns, who lives in the Highlands of Scotland.
Ooh,
and,
how cool is that?
Yes, and so I've been over to visit her, and she's been here. But she and I are like two peas in a pod. But anyway, she was already kind of using that voice of the Magdalene title.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, I can't use that, but that was a ruse to get me to meet up with Patricia. So what a cool thing that was. But I thought, okay, so I'm still going to use Magdalene. I was told by Spirit, Mary Magdalene wants to speak through you. So I went, great, I am all in, let's do this. Just speak through me, take it away. And so it's been developing over time. And there are a lot of Magdalene channels out there. But we all have our own unique flavor. And so I'm doing mine. I'm doing my flavor.
Wow. So thank you for sharing with us the history of naming and receiving the name of your business, because now that I realize I'm getting a sound healing through the voice of the Magdalene.
Yes, so I'm one of the voices of the Magdalene. Just one, because there are many voices.
The collective, right?
And I call it soul healing because I really am working at the level of soul. Mm-hmm. That's really important to me. I want to go right into people's souls and work with their highest potential and help that soul reawaken and get rid of whatever is in its way so that it can become a fully realized, fully expressed beacon of light in this world. That's what we're meant to be. And that's what I want to help people do.
And you do that very powerfully. I will be happy to write you a testimonial anytime.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Yay! So speaking of the ancestors, can you enlighten us about how the ancestors affect us today, even if we don't even know who they are?
Exactly. Well, we're all energetic beings. We're all energy, right? We are, even though we feel very solid, we're all energy, but we also have this, what would you call it? This huge mass of our cellular structure. We have 50 trillion cells in our body. I mean, this huge amount, and every cell has 3 billion strands of DNA and all that sort of stuff. So we are constantly recording everything that happens to us. And we're not just recording from this lifetime, or we're not just carrying the memories of this lifetime. We are the product of our ancestors. Obviously, we keep getting born, through a lineage, and we are carrying the cellular memory of the people in our line who came before us. So our DNA is known as the living library. It's our living library. It's got the records of our existence and what our ancestors carried with them.
Mm.
So just imagine, think of like the library in Alexandria, Virginia. Not Virginia, Egypt. Maybe Alexandria, Virginia has one too, probably. I was thinking of Egypt. So
I love that.
I know. It was a great library. And of course, they're the Akashic records.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are the library. We've got all the records. We've got the memories, even though most of them are unconscious. But even though they're unconscious, we are a living embodiment of all of our experiences, everything that our ancestors went through. And what we have recorded in us kind of determines what our belief systems are, depending on how we were programmed through conditioning, through certain events, traumatic events, other events, and our choices in life and our beliefs are really determined by this stuff. So when you're programmed a certain way, you're going to make choices and decisions about yourself and about who you are and what you're doing in the world based on all of that, even though you don't know that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the beauty of doing this work, is to go in and find out what your programs are, what patterns have you come in with that are actually maybe working against you. And we all have them. This is not, you know, singular to any one person. We all have patterns and blocks in us that have to do with what our ancestors went through, what they suffered through, and our own experiences in this life. So we're kind of a continuation of a particular theme you might think of. And Shannon, you and I have talked about this before, even in our group, you know, having all this Irish heritage.
Yeah.
The Irish people are, of course, one group of many that had a lot of suffering in their lives. And, you know, I'm a product, and I think you are a product of the Irish families that suffered through the Great Famine in the 1840s, I think it was.
Yeah.
And many of the Irish people left Ireland to come to America. And that transition was very, very difficult. Many of them didn't make it. Many of them died of starvation, of illness. You know, there was a lot of stuff. And this is the kind of thing that we have programmed in our DNA. Our cellular memory is holding this. So that event and subsequent events because of that have given us these programs that create certain habit patterns in us. For example, with myself, I used to have an issue of worrying that food was going to run out. Mm-hmm. That really never happened, but I would go to a party or a buffet and I would just notice, it's like, I have to get in that line quickly, because if I wait too long, the food may disappear and there won't be enough for me. And that just made no sense logically. There was no reason to think that was going to happen. And certainly if the food went away on the table, there's grocery stores nearby. You know, it was illogical. And that's the way so many of these patterns are. So once I realized what I was carrying, and my great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents came over during the potato famine, and hunger, of course, followed them because they had to find work here. It was very, very tough. It was like, I've got that in me, so that could be why I have this program of worrying that there's never going to be enough for me.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because like when you shared that for the first time in our group and in the archetypes class, it was just like all these bells went off for me, because I could have, you know, memories of even being young and coming home from school, and maybe something I wanted wasn't there. Didn't mean like there wasn't other food that was there, but I wanted something, it wasn't there, and I would like lose it as far as like, oh my God, I'm the youngest, nothing's left for me. Or, it was just this feeling I'm going to starve. And it was not even true,
It
but
wasn't. That's the thing. These patterns make us believe things and act in ways that just don't make sense in terms of our current existence.
Mm-hmm.
So this work is beautiful in that it helps to just free that stuff up and help you put it in the right place. And because I'm bringing through the energy and the sound and the light healing, this frequency of sound that I call forth to come through me goes into your cellular structure. It literally vibrationally just goes zipping into your DNA and transmutes stuff and raises the frequency. So it's like zooming in there, it's cutting through the sludge energetically that's there and helping you literally to rewrite your script so that you have more choice. You have more options available to you when you're not being run by that old stuff that wasn't yours to begin with.
Yeah, so fascinating, because as you were sharing and helping us kind of go back in time, and then of course all those bells rang off for me. So I went in and I did more research about when people left, why they left, what was it like, what was the history of what was going on, and it ducktailed into a whole other program that I have running unconsciously around that my ancestors were very upset that there were people that had money and weren't sharing or helping. And so there was all this rage around people that had money. And so I could see how it was like showing up energetically in just the way I was brought up and the kind of the conditioning of the mindset of my parents and their parents. And we were always like the shanty Irish, or we were the blue collar people. We were never the white collar people. And therefore we didn't make choices to go to school, or education wasn't available. And I'm the first one that went to college, graduated college. I'm the first one that's has gone beyond that. It's been really
congratulations. Well, you're a big light in your lineage. You've taken your lineage further.
Yes. And then without you sharing your wisdom and knowledge about what that is all emanating as, I would never ever understand any of that was actually happening and running my life.
Yeah. And isn't that exciting? Like, it's a real rush. And I can tell as you're talking about it, it's just a rush because you start to put pieces together. You start to make sense of yourself because, you could be running a program that's giving you weird messages and you're thinking, what is wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. And there isn't anything wrong with you. It's just that you're carrying this old stuff that's in your way from being a fully realized, fully expressed soul.
Yes, because as like that rush that you are, because Joanne's very empathetic, so she's kinesthetic, can feel like when someone's having a breakthrough and getting touch into those deeper layers. That's why you got to do private work with her and do the group work. You got to do it because it's so profoundly amazing and powerful and life-changing. But I could feel like when you were saying them, like, oh my gosh, all the ancestors who are watching the descendants play out these patterns, are sitting there going, oh, I wish that it could shift and change. And then when someone shifts and change it, like, us doing this work, then I could feel them Kaylee dancing.
Yes, absolutely. They've been waiting for us. They couldn't do it. They didn't have the technology. Mm-hmm. Look at everything that's at our disposal in this time that we have access to, these wonderful new energetic technologies with sound and light and color. We bring all that in, and our ancestor didn't have that. So they are looking to us to bring them along, to enlighten them. And also, we're enlightening the future generations. They don't have to go through what we've gone through and what our ancestors have gone through. So we are these big light beams for our lineage, and our ancestors are so excited and just are so supportive of what we're doing. They're looking to us and they're encouraging us. And it's really an honor, I think, to be able to do that for them. That's no small thing at all.
Yeah, that is no small thing, because part of, I wonder, like in that cellular matrix, like it can, trap in that, ongoing wounded pattern that keeps expressing itself. It's like when it's not healed, part of their soul or their life experience still sits in that space until there's something that can change and free everybody.
Yes, and they don't have to come back and do it again.
Oh,
We're
God,
helping them
no.
to break that cycle so they don't have to be reborn into another life where they're suffering.
Yes, because they carry, remember, we go lifetime to lifetime with the records, the Akashic records of all of those life experience, whether we're awake or not, or we had wealth or we didn't, or we had pain and suffering or we didn't, all that you carry and download in every body that you come into with.
That's right. We are imprinted when we come into form with all of those records. It's an energetic imprint, because people have asked me, like, well, how does that happen? If that's all from your ancestors, and how does it end up, like, how do you end up with all that stuff? And yes, it's your DNA, but your soul has an energetic imprint, and it brings that in and just like smacks it into your body. So, now we're getting to get rid of it.
Yeah, lighten it up and shift.
Lighten it up. Let's fluff it up.
Yeah, right. Let's bring in the angel tones and the sound to like shift and change that back in, like Joanne was like, back into light. Let's fill ourselves up with more and more light and ascend in that space of energy. Yeah, I like to call like that thing that smacks back in with our soul. It's almost like our own like soul iCloud, right? Everything's stored in the cloud.
That's a great analogy. That really is. That's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, I think
that's my cloud.
Yeah. What's in my cloud, right? Yeah. And if you've got some, you might need to back up your cloud and maybe like take some things out and shift and change the vibration of your cloud.
Yes. And that's interesting too, because we are like a computer, and you're constantly having to upgrade your computer. It's out of date very, very quickly. We're constantly having to rewrite programs. We've got to bring it up to the next level. So we might be like at a 2.0 right now, but when we do this work, we end up being a 3.5.
Yeah, exactly. And then what is your life going to be like at 3.5, right? What it's like at like 0.5. Let's change the vibration and bring it up, like upgrade your software.
Exactly.
And you're like, like a silver bullet. You're just like, high flying it like a super train.
That is very true. That's very true. So we're all doing this big upgrade together, whether we want to or not. But let's do it in a fun way.
Yeah, let's do it in a fun way, especially like when you do the sound healing groups. You get to, the part I really love is the group energy. Because you get so much from, bearing witness to another person's journey and their healing. And there's so much in that when you can like hold space for someone to have that.
Absolutely.
It's so beautiful what you've designed and what you're offering to us at like just, and Joanne does this after work. She's like, she comes home and
I'm still employed for a short time.
For a little bit longer, right?
Just a little bit longer. We just got to put some pieces into place.
That's right. That's right. So for everyone watching, because the time of the crossing, starts tomorrow with Halloween and goes through All Souls and All Saints Day. I like to go, Catholic training says November 2nd, right? Right. Nice 3-day window. Your ancestor, the veils, start to dissolve and they can reach out to you. You can reach out to them. So let's take this time and see, where, if you're starting to wake up and realize, wow, that could be a pattern. Oh, my mom was like that. My dad was like that. My grandparents. Oh, this is something. This will give you the opportunity to shift and change it into a new place. And then you can come over and get a sound healing with Joanne.
Yes.
She can really help you do it.
Exactly. And what I love now is that I've been doing these groups for a bunch of years, but I always did them in person because I didn't have this technology. I hate to admit how old I am, but when I first started work, we didn't know, there were no computers. I typed away on an old IBM Selectric, and we thought that was great. That was like high tech. And so back in the 90s, when I was doing these groups, they were all in person. They were all circles of primarily women. We did have some men too, and they're coming along as well. But now the technology is such, having Zoom available, I mean, this opens up the world. It really does.
Literally, yes. And so
Literally.
I could be in California, Joanne's in Maryland, other people are in other states, and it's just so amazing that we can all join together via technology and have these like profound and life-changing experiences.
Yes.
Right at 4:30 on a what day is it? Tuesday? On a Tuesday night.
What day is it exactly?
You never know what day it is anymore.
I know. So Shannon, we had discussed about doing a sample session, using you as a surrogate for your ancestors, and I wondered if you wanted to jump into that.
Yeah, let's jump into that. So yes, I think that would be perfect, because those watching can get a sense of what this vibration feels like, and then they can, resonate in the ways that they want to, and then they could understand like what are the next steps.
Exactly.
Joanne, before we do that, can I just ask you a question from Tamara?
Absolutely.
She says, whose energy are you channeling? Do the ancestors identify, or is it general collections of them at the right frequency that is needed?
I work with a group. I don't work with just one being. And I don't channel the ancestors per se. I'm channeling higher intelligence. For the sake of the ancestors. So I really channel group intelligence. Now, I always invoke the power and presence of the Christed ones. I'm very much aligned with that vibration, and that includes a whole bunch of beings. It's not just Jesus and Mother Mary, but also the Buddha carried that. So it covers all. And I work with the angels and archangels. I also work with the Pleiadians. So it's a group, and usually there is someone who kind of guides the session in terms of who's going to be coming through when. Like there's a gatekeeper. And Spirit gave me who that is, which is very appropriate. I don't know if you've ever heard the name Hildegard of Bingen.
Oh my gosh, she's like one of my heroes.
She's one of my personal guides, and it's so appropriate because she was a mystic. She was a nun, but she was a poet, a mystic, a songwriter, a singer. I mean, just everything that I love is embodied in that woman from whatever century she came from. So she is my gatekeeper. She's the one that says, okay, it's time for you to come in, and now you can come in for this part. So I feel the energies very strongly when they all come in. Like I will get so hot during our sessions because the room just fills up here with these energies. Everybody crowding in to get their turn. Right. They're jockeying for position, like my turn.
Yeah, totally. Oh my God, that is like so beautiful that Hildegard of Bingen is your gatekeeper.
Yes.
Wow. And if you don't know who Hildegard of Bingen is, we'll put a link up so you can go check her out. She is amazing. 11th century or 10th century German.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and she had all these visions because she either like went into like a maybe the energy. Well, you'll know, Joanne. I should speak for Hildegard, but yeah, she's written books and songs, and she has healing modalities. And I seriously loved her quenched wine. I'm like, I'm gonna drink quenched wine like Hildegard. Like
I feel I'm a little embarrassed because I haven't even read any of her stuff. Oh. I was more tuned into the music, I was, because of my singing background, I got introduced to her music, and it will just lift you. It's so incredible what it does to your frequency and how healing it is. But if you ever get a chance, I'm sure there must be something on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I
Look
used
up
to
some
have
of
some
her
CDs.
music.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
I used to have some CDs like back in the. I think
Yes.
when I got connected to her was maybe in
The 90s?
the 90s. I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
Yes. That's when people started really bringing her music out. And it's just stunning. It's stunning.
Yes, yes. So yeah, and her artwork from the visions where she went when she was, communing with God, basically, is just like you
Yes.
look at it and you're like, I'm in, I'm looking at God.
Yes. Yes. So she's here, and I'm sure she's just extremely happy that we're acknowledging her. And she's humbled and pleased to be joining with us in this venture, she's telling me. That's what I'm getting from her. So we're thrilled. It's just thrilling. It does your heart good to make these connections.
Yes, and then and too, at this time when we're paying reverence and honoring our ancestors, she's part of our collective ancestors that are still offering and giving and loving and supporting and helping and healing, just like she did in the 10th century. And just as a little funny thing to make you and Tina and me laugh, I think that's where we got in trouble, where we were giggling in the convent. I think it was here.
I was always getting in trouble in grade school for giggling out of turn.
Yeah.
Always. The nuns I would be put in the corner more times than, it was humiliating.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. It helped to make me who I am today.
Yes, exactly. And myself too. I got a lot of ear pulls and some shushing and some. Okay, I'll be a good girl. I'll be a good girl.
Right. So is this where you want to go into your...
Yeah, let's go in and so everyone can experience your beautiful mastery.
Oh, good. So you had told me that you had a pattern or something that was an issue in your lineage that you wanted to do a clearing on. Is that right?
Yes, yes. Would you like me to share what the pattern is? Or that I'm aware of what it is?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the clearing for my family. My mom is still alive, so she's going to feel this. I'm so happy for this.
And all the other people that are tuned in at this point that are carrying something similar will also get to benefit from this.
Yes. Oh, that makes it even more beautiful. So in my mom's maternal lineage, so we're going her mom, her grandma, her mom's mom, so we're following the females. There's been a pattern, and I don't exactly know when it started, but of mothers having to get rid of their children because there wasn't enough food. So there wasn't, too many mouths to feed. It was basically like that. So they had big families, and the children were either given to orphanages, other family members, but it was this pattern of separation and the mother.
Can I just jump in there? I have to throw this in based on what we talked about before, where you would go into a panic when you'd come home from school and there wasn't enough food. What was just coming into me was like, guess what's in your cellular memory? If there's not enough food, I could be given away.
Oh my God. Talk about the rush is coming.
Yeah. You feel that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that created a super huge panic. If there's not enough food, I am going to be out the door.
Absolutely. And remember, we're talking in the archetypes class about how the body's main concern is its survival. So when you get threatened with your survival, that's when that fear and that panic come up, and you don't even really know why, but that got triggered big time, I can tell you, because I felt that was like, bing, that was major for you.
Yeah, and I think too that maybe the pattern was more geared towards the youngest child because they were the last one to arrive. Maybe they had more
expendable.
More expendable, exactly, and they had less say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they couldn't protest as much.
Exactly.
A little more vulnerable. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so keep
So,
going. I just had to stop you there and give you that insight.
oh my God, thank you for giving me that that is so huge, because I could see myself at the cupboard freaking out, right? And I used to get in trouble for getting mad, right? But it wasn't mad, it was the panic.
It was fear of really losing your livelihood.
Yeah, yeah. And having to leave and for family to me was like, that was everything. That was the world. That was God, you know?
Yes.
So what I know of as the pattern when the separation between the mother and the children, the mother had to make the choice, and it was super painful for her. So she had like this, she had to like desensitize to the separation. So it always felt like there was blame from the children to the mother, but she had to cut herself off in order to do it. So I know that it happened to my mom, it happened to her mother, and it happened to her mother, as far as like going out. Some were in orphanages, some were family members, and it was a separation of also siblings as well. So how it starts to shift, that pattern starts to kind of mutate a little bit. All my mother's siblings, she comes from a family of 6. All the siblings but one have lost a child through death. And then my grandmother had lost the 2 children because they died like in their 30s and 40s, but she experienced losing children. My mom herself, my sister, passed away, so she's experienced having lost a child. So there's all this loss and separation, and yeah, and usually the choice to separate with giving the children away was economic. So it was driven by poverty or just starvation.
Exactly. I mean, what other reason could there be?
Yeah.
Letting your blood go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Your children, and a mother too, who birthed that child, carried it in her womb, in her body, and then had to like send it away, never to, possibly never to see it again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we're seeing that being played out on the world stage now. So
yes.
This is a big issue that I think probably every mother somewhere has some strand of DNA that's all about this. So this could be, a big healing opportunity for a lot of people, even if they're not here. But we're working on healing this theme of separation, mother to child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else you want to say about that?
I also think like the cause and effect, like there was the other pattern I think that is resulting from that is this anger or blame towards that mother's decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So there seems to be a pattern that kind of keeps cycling to a blame, where even my sister, before she passed away, there was a time when she didn't talk to my mom. And so she kind of like, there was this blame energy, like it's almost like a rubber band coming back and like snapping.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that is part of the clearing or that's attached to it somehow, but there seems to be like that anger response.
Well, of course, because what child wants to feel expendable?
Yeah, abandoned and not
abandoned and just totally, what's the word, shoved to the side.
Yeah.
Completely not honored. In fact, I just saw something on, I was watching Dr. Phil this afternoon because I usually read it to see what's interesting, and that theme was being played out. Although the money was getting for children for money. Yes. So this was a little different, but the anger piece was there from the children who are now grown. Of course, if you're a child, all you think is, how could you do that to me?
Yeah.
And what's wrong with me? Because a child thinks it's their fault. A child is so, they're self-centered. They are the center of their world.
Yes.
That's how children are. And so they think that, if they were given away or if something happens to them, it's because they did something wrong. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. So, of course, a child is not going to understand that there was an issue with poverty in the family and the parents couldn't afford to feed them. Mm-hmm. So the parents were probably doing what they felt was best, maybe to offer another opportunity for the child to have a better life, but there's no happy ending in any of that.
Yeah, and as you're saying that too, like that kind of child awareness of it was they didn't feel loved.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because if you really loved me and if I was worth being loved, you wouldn't give me away.
exactly. Yes. Ugh, that's been a theme song for a while.
For you personally?
Yeah, I feel like my sister, we have a really deep soul contract, and I feel like she kind of took a lot of that on because she was going to check out early. I think and she kind of wanted, and both of us didn't have children. So
Uh-huh.
I think there was an unconscious or something, some kind of choice to make that said, we don't want to carry this on and
Right.
continue this pattern. So like the child, actual physical line will end with us.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
feel like she took a lot of it on herself and kind
Mhm.
of shielded me from experiencing it to that level. And then,
Right.
and when her passing, it was beginning of my spiritual journey. That was my Saturn return.
Hmm.
So she kind of, changed my whole, reality and having to go heal myself and move that direction. So I feel
Right.
like I didn't get it as strong because
Hmm.
she kind of stood in the way and took it. And
Right.
yeah.
God bless her.
Yes. Yes, yes.
So in order to do this clearing, um, I'd like you to we like to put a frame around it. So we have something to really focus on. And we've got the story, but is there a way that you could make a succinct statement of what it is? Like, what is the issue that you want to have healed for your lineage?
Hmm. That's a good one.
So this is your intention setting
My
now.
intention setting. And do I state the intention like as if it's already happened or the well part of it or?
Yeah, say, because we don't want to put it out in the future. We want to we want to bring in the healing, loving vibes to this now. So make a statement about what that shift would look like for you. And I'm getting a big yes, yes from this side. So somebody on your side.
Somebody on my side. Well, what I
Yes.
was just feeling just now was to create the healing that every child born in my family line is loved and is worthy and loved and honored and wanted and welcomed
Safe.
and safe.
Safe. Safety was a big issue.
Yeah, safety was a huge issue. And I even see that in my own self as far as like, I don't really want to go out at night to the city. Like, ew, I'm,
Yeah.
I'm more like, I want to stay home. And my
Yeah.
poor friends have to drag me out to do stuff. I'm like, I'm home. I'm happy. But
Yeah.
it could be more connected to like, I really want to feel safe.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to go into my space and do my invocation, and you just focus as well on your intention. So I now invoke the power and presence of our guides and teachers, particularly the Christed ones, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary. Also the overseer of this work, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, the angels of sound and light and color, Archangel Metatron, our beautiful starry beings who work with us for this healing level. I invoke all of you and our ancestors who want to be a part of this healing. I call you all forward to assist us to bring forth the perfect frequencies of sound and light and color to assist with this healing now for the sake of Shannon Murray and her lineage and all those who carry this pattern within their cellular memory. Let this be a healing for the whole. And of course, we're all connected, so that's how it works. So we thank each of you for coming forward, bringing us your beautiful light and these frequencies for healing and upliftment. So just take a deep breath and allow these frequencies to move easily and gently through you as they touch each cell and go into each record that has held this pattern of mother and child separation. It is time for this to be healed. So just imagine that you are representing the mother energy right now. And just go to a beautiful place, imagining that you are going to a place where there are many, many mothers. And we'll invite the fathers to be there as well, but the mothers seem to want this more right now. And we are bringing to them the frequency of reconnection, reunion, and recommitment to their offspring. We bring them together. We call forth all of the children that were lost. So just imagine that this field perhaps you're sitting in, wherever you see yourself, just imagine that all these beautiful children are running to their parents, and the mothers are lit up with beautiful love and gratitude that this split is being healed for them. And in your lineage, Shannon, we are working with this energy particularly in you so that those who come past you, in whatever arm of your family this occurs, anybody that comes next, that comes down the line, does not have to suffer this. We are raising this pattern up into the light. Just picture for a moment, make this real, that there's this beautiful, grand reunion in this beautiful space of hearts being shared, of tears of happiness now. These are tears of joy, no longer the tears of sadness. And so this split is being sewn back together in a way with light, with frequency. Just make this real in your mind. And we honor each and every one who shares in this rejoining. Much gratitude is being expressed. Much love is being shared. We assure you that all of your ancestors, Ms. Shannon, are very pleased with you and so, so grateful for the light that you bring to their line, to your line. And so it is, dear one. All right. So how was that for you?
I think I can talk. When you first, the first tone or the first opening, like all my legs were like everything like below the belt was like, whoa, something's gonna change, right? Something's changing. And then it felt like all my like cells were like plasma and like dancing in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Of like timelessness.
Yes, yes.
And then I saw my mom as a really little girl, because part of her pain is she never really had that. Her mom left her, I think, when she was very young, like maybe just a few weeks old. Mm-hmm. And she went to the grandparents or something. But she's never really had that hug or that, like, you know, the happiness. And so I saw her mom come, her name's Juanita, come as a young woman, because she had like 6 kids by the time she was 20, like, you know, really crazy. So she was a young woman. She, you know, had all of that on her shoulders. And so she ran up and like she ran to mom and mom ran to her. And there was just like, you know, those kind of embrace, like the monkey hugs where the little girl's got her arms or legs wrapped around your waist. And it's just, you know, it's just like this, and then just happy and joyful, and just like those looks of love. Like my grandmother was looking into my mom and just like cherishing her like she was the greatest gift ever. So it was just this moment of them kind of dancing and twirling and laughing, and that was like, that's where they wanted to be.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was. That felt really good and just very gentle and yet very directed to that issue.
Yeah, because when the mending of it just felt like all those broken hearts, all those broken hearts, and I even got a flash of my mom's side, because I kind of traced more my dad's side to the Irish roots, but my mom's side went a little bit different and was more through the Wales energy, and I saw, I think it might be 5 generations where the mom sent the child with, you know, to go to a better life, promising I'll come, but couldn't come because there was no money. And so that kind of almost seemed where the fracture or the split or the something kind of started to trigger there. So I kind of got a little glimpse of that.
Yeah. Well, this was a really good, it's more than just a good start. It was a good healing, you know, with as much as we could do tonight on this issue. But, you know, it's like when you take a stone and throw it into a pond, it ripples out and out and out and out. Yeah. So we threw a stone into the middle of the pond. So we may not know exactly how this affects everybody, but we know that it did. It has to.
Yeah.
When you set an intention, because as I've said in my groups before, there's a magical formula that says frequency plus intention equals healing or equals manifestation. And what we did was to create the intention and then add the frequency to it. So it has to go out. It has to have a positive effect, because that's what we said. You know, in the beginning was the word, let there be light, and that's what we did. And there was light. So that's what we're doing in this modern day. We're using that formula to create change and transformation.
It is so gorgeous and amazing, because like when you said, Shannon, frame it, right? So you had helped me frame it into the intention, and it created like its own like map to where all that energy went into and went perfectly into that space.
Exactly.
It could find its way. Yeah.
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions out there in chat land that you
Oh, I do want to read, Tamara had a beautiful comment. She said, I'm over here crying like a baby for you. That's so freaking cool. I understand now why the different people in the groups are important. This is such a gift. That's what she said.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah, Tamara's awesome. She's a beautiful soul.
Oh,
High-powered soul.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I hope I get to meet you tomorrow.
Yes, I hope so too. So Joanne, can you tell us, like, if we sign up to have like a private session with you, like you share, and this is kind of what happens in the group where when Joanne has everybody go one at a time, and
Yes.
she moves and drops the stone and makes it ripple for all of us. So what happens when we actually sign up and do like an individual private session?
Well, you get a lot of this. Now, there's a lot more time, of course, that I can spend on really getting the intuitive information, the channel piece. Mm-hmm. So we'll have more time to speak with Spirit, to have them bring through their information that they feel is really needed for you. We may get real past life information, like a past life usually will unfold so that you will get a picture. And it's not, I like to be very clear, this is not to have anybody relive trauma. It has nothing to do with that. It is simply to give you a focus and like a story for your particular pattern. So we go much more into depth, get the past life information if they want to share that, if they feel it's important, and do much more of the healing and let the client actually dialogue in this process if they want to.
And do you record the sessions?
I do. When I do it over Zoom, yes, absolutely.
Because I noticed, like, talking with Tina, who shared is how I met Joanne, and Tina's done a lot of work, I think, together with you, and she uses the recordings and gets more healings coming from the listening to the toning multiple times.
Yes. Now, Tina did do her private session in person because she lives an hour away from me.
Oh, that's nice.
But many people are living in other states, and that's why Zoom is just so great for that.
Yeah, because I know from our sound healing groups, because Joanne records them and then gives us the replay, and we can listen to it over and over. And when we listen to it again, it's like we get a whole other layer to it, because those tones, especially when it's your turn and she's working with you, are specific from the angels and the guides, and bringing in your angels and guides, and the tones come there. It's almost like a pharmaceutical, like DNA sequence, perfect medicine pill.
Your prescription, yes.
Yes, your
prescription. Exactly. And some people feel like in a session, well, I don't need to listen to it again because I got it. I got it all. And I don't think I really need to do that. And that's fine. It's just whatever, you honor your intuition about it. Yes. So there's no requirement to listen to it again. But as you said, Shannon, many times people will like to keep hearing it because it just keeps reminding their bodies and their cells of, what was just gifted to them.
Yes. And then I also understand that you work with children to help like heal different things that they may bring in this lifetime.
Oh, well, that's, Tina needs to pipe up now.
I know, like, Tina, whatever you want to share, feel free. Because I know a lot of our moms, the women here, like, they have special children. Some of them even like more the crystal rainbow children that may have a different way of being.
Exactly. And it's interesting because I have not set out intentionally to work with children, mainly because when I was first being trained in this work, we were told, really don't work on anybody who's, well, the advice was don't work on anybody before their Saturn return, because they need to get through that and reach this level of maturity. And for people who hadn't gotten to their Saturn return yet, their focus could be very, very different. And energetically, they weren't quite up to it. So, but now, because that was 20 some years ago,
right.
you know, there's a whole new generation of children on the planet. And I did do a session for Tina for her daughter, but I used Tina as the surrogate. I didn't actually do the session on her daughter, but it was recorded, and now Tina's child asks to listen to the recording every night as she's going to bed. So she's getting it, and I find that just incredible. I don't have the right word for it, but it's just thrilling that that little girl understands on a cellular level what's being given to her through those tones.
Yes, and that she knows that she needs that when she falls asleep. Like it's helping her. It's, you know, doing like things on a whole other levels. But I love that the child know, because, you know, they always say follow the children. You know,
exactly. A little child shall lead you.
Right. That's what Jesus said. So I'm like, I'm listening to Tina's daughter. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah. But the point was that I actually did the session using Tina as the surrogate, not working directly, just because the energies can be very powerful. And also, you know, let's face it, these are some odd sounds that are coming through me, and, you know, they surprise people. And I don't want to freak out any little children either.
Right. Exactly. We don't want that at all.
No.
Interesting too, where your guidance was not before the Saturn return, because a lot of times that Saturn return is designed perfectly to get people to like either have a moment, a life lesson that gets them on to where they're supposed to, the trajectory.
Well, and that's exactly what happened to me. So I'm a real testament to that advice, that's exactly what happened to me. I thought I was going one direction, and then lo and behold, I went in a totally different direction that I didn't see coming.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in your club too. I was like blindsided, but it changed my life for the best. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change it, knowing now what I know now. But in the moment of it happening, was devastating.
Oh yeah, it can be pretty rough.
It can be pretty rough. So I'm hoping that like it doesn't have to keep getting rough, because like our consciousness is rising, so we don't have to go through so many like, you know, hurricanes and tidal waves. Exactly.
Well, at least that's done and over with.
Yes, thank God. And I survived my Saturn return.
Yes. Right. You need a t-shirt with that one on it.
Oh, that's a good idea. So Joanne, as we I want to thank you so much for coming on with me tonight. And
thank you for having me. It's been just a total joy for me.
Oh, good. You're welcome back anytime you want. You can
thank you.
The door's wide open.
I would love it. I would love it.
Is there anything, as we go into the veils for this timing of the year, is there anything you'd like to share with us before we go, or just
well, as you say, this is a time when the veil is very, very thin between the dimensions, and our ancestors really are waiting for us to communicate with them. Even if you can't hear them, just know that when you set your intention to communicate and you ask to communicate, they will respond. So oftentimes people will create an altar to their ancestors and put pictures on it and certain crystals and essential oils, and then just sit, you know, at that altar or whatever space you create, and just start talking to them, invoke them, you know, and share your thoughts with them. They're there to guide and to hold our hand. And, you know, the right ones will come. We don't want all of our ancestors all the time. There are certain of them that I don't want to invite in.
Right, you're like, oh, you were there.
Yeah, like, we're not going with that one. But my gosh, you know, my mother's there. my mother's sister, my grandmother's, my own sister too, because I lost a sister. And, you know, those are the ones that I want to bring in. And I'm just looking forward to creating my space in the next couple of days, to having that little tete-a-tete with my ancestors, especially the women. It's the women in my family that I'm most connected with.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm so excited for you to go and hang out with all of your lovely women ancestors.
Yeah, and you too. You too.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited too. I already started grabbing the pictures, and I live in my grandparents' house, so there's, you know, stuff here that's left over from other generations. So I'm like, oh, here's their thing. Here's their glasses. So here's like something that belonged to them. So that's another thing you can add to your altar, is maybe if you have an heirloom or something that they actually used or had.
Exactly. And like in my apartment, I'm in the apartment that I moved into after we sold my mom's house 3 years ago. And it's loaded with her furniture, you know, stuff that she was collecting from the time she was like 16.
Wow.
So there's a lot of meaning here.
Yeah, she'll just come right on the couch and hang out with you.
Absolutely.
Make a pot of tea.
Exactly. Exactly. So would you like me to give my website in case anybody wants to look that up? I wish I had it printed out and I could hold it up, but then it would be backwards. So
I'll put the link to it when we're offline. I'll also do that. But tell us how to find you.
Yeah, but it's www.magdalene, Magdalene, soulhealing.com.
Beautiful.
And as Shannon said, I have a private Facebook page that is Magdalene Soul Healing Friends, where I post the upcoming dates for the groups and any follow-up stuff. You know, I don't overload people with messages. Because I don't, you know, we're inundated with so many groups we all belong to and so many pages. It's overwhelming. I don't want anybody to get stuck in the black hole of Facebook because of me.
And Joanne is so generous. She offers her sound healing groups at such a wonderful, high vibrational number, very affordable. $22 to come in.
$22, yeah. For now. I'm not saying that won't change at some point, but
so I jump in right now.
Yes, jump in.
Yeah, I'm always sending her the 44 because I want to be in both of them. And then I'm like, oh, I can't be taking all the space. The other lady's got to have some room to come in. So.
And that's when I said, don't worry about that because I can create more groups. That's the whole plan. No limits, Shannon, no limits.
Right, no limits, right? Because I'm always like, oh, I don't want to take other people's opportunities, which is connected to those old patterns.
That's the old stuff, the old poverty thinking.
Yes, totally.
We're not doing that.
Now getting rippled in the pond. I'm so excited.
Right. You're adorable.
Oh, thank you. I feel like we're like soul sisters from way back.
Oh, we are. We are.
We definitely have our ancestral paths have crossed more than once. We're probably from the same village.
Absolutely. And I'm sure we'll discover more. And,
yes.
You know, my introduction to so many new women through this vehicle has just been great. So many wonderful connections. And there's a real sisterhood building amongst us, not just in my group, but in the other ones as well. But
yes.
My group is really good too.
Yes, your group is fascinating, awesome. And I think everybody who's in the lifestyle group should jump on over there and join. It's really fun. I'm over there too.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you. And happy, I'm now going to call like this time of year, like Ancestor Christmas, because it's so fun.
Yeah.
Let's gather together with our loved ones and we can have our healthy boundaries to say we want these ones come over, the well ones, and share in love and memories and gifts and healings.
Exactly. And as I get braver with using Zoom for stuff, I might even start doing some live things. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Ooh, well, let us know when you get there.
I definitely will. I'll practice first because, you know, I blow up technology sometimes.
Yes, Joanne does. She has a hat. She has this little knack that says, I just said, well, it's because your frequency is so high. technology doesn't exist up that way.
That's right. We have to tone everything way down just to make a recording.
Yeah, literally, like, oh, I have to bring the octaves down.
Right, exactly. Oh, Shannon, well, this has been great. Thank you again for letting me come on, and I'll definitely come back and
Oh,
do more sharing.
goody.
I look forward to it.
Awesome. I'm so happy that you're here, and you're welcome anytime. And thanks for giving us your Tuesday night. So we'll give you back to, I know you've got loved ones waiting for you.
Oh, well, you do. All
Okay.
right.
Bye. Good night.
Namaste. Bye-bye.
Bye.